Manisha.
And Shirley from Make It Shine, the Money Podcast.
On today's podcast, we talk about how to set your financial goals.
Yes, we'll dive into 4 of the most common financial goals and tips on achieving them.
Keep listening to find out.
This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna make it shine, make it shine, make it shine, make it shine.
Happy New Year, Manisha.
Happy New Year, Shirley.
So a hot topic during this time of year is about New Year's resolutions. And one of the most popular resolutions is around finances. You want to earn more money and save more.
Yes, new year, new goals. In fact, funny side story, we named our podcast Make It Shine, the Money Podcast, because the term make it shine came from one of our goal-setting talks like 15 years ago.
Yeah, I remember I was talking about the things I wanted to achieve and thought maybe I need a motto, a saying to encapsulate that feeling, like a cool mantra for the year.
Yeah, and so I said it should be like the Windex motto, make it shine, which you kept rejecting. You're like, that is not my motto. I'm like, but I would always text it to you whenever we talked about goals. So I made it happen.
Yeah, so after 15 years of you texting it, make it shine to me, when it came time to name our podcast, obviously we named it Make It Shine, the Money Podcast.
See, persistence and consistency works. In fact, did you know that you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down?
Yeah, that makes sense because I love making to-do lists and striking things off the list. So writing everything down makes it a lot more real.
Yeah, I love the countdown that you do at the start of every year where you're counting down to like exciting things because it triggers your brain to think about what's happening next and, planning for that. So that's what we're going to discuss today. We'll kick off with the 4 most common financial goals that people have and then talk about ways to achieve them.
Right. So let's talk about each goal and how to achieve it using the SMART method. So SMART, S-M-A-R-T, is an acronym here where the S stands for specific. So let's add some details on exactly what we want to do. M means measurable. A means achievable,
Okay.
which also means list out the steps that you would take to get to your goal.
Okay.
And R is relevancy. How does the goal relate to my long-term goals? And then finally, T means time. When do you want to achieve your goal by?
Yeah, that's right. Another way to think about time is to assign it into short-term versus long-term goals. So short-term could be anything you could reasonably achieve within the next few months or even up to 12 months. And long-term is a year and beyond. So, you have that time period defined for your personal situation.
Okay, we'll go through some of the most common financial goals and talk through them using the SMART method. So goal number 1, earn more money.
This is everybody's goal, I think, irrespective of whatever the year is. So starting with the S, right? So going back to that SMART methodology, S stands for specific. So let's add some more details to the goal. Like, do you want to earn 15% more this year? Or maybe put an additional $500 towards retirement?
Perfect. The 15% is definitely measurable, and it's also achievable. So we'll list out the steps that you might take to achieve this next. It's also relevant, and we tie it directly to the long-term goal of saving for retirement. And we have a specific timeline against it of 12 months.
Let's list out the steps to achieve this. So there's actually many ways to make more money. I mean, number 1 is if you already have a full-time job, you could negotiate for a raise or work toward a promotion.
Yeah, that's right. And that's thinking about one stream of income. So some people have multiple sources of money flowing in. So for example, rental properties or Airbnb being at the second bedroom or your basement, there's your rental income. And then for those who invest, there may be dividend income. And then there's also side hustle income. So taking on additional work on apps like Fiverr, TaskRabbit, or pet sitting on Rover.
Yeah, and I've actually used services on all those apps. And one of my neighbors became a dog sitter on the Rover app, and the demand is actually huge. So all these households that got puppies during the pandemic, and now people are turning back to the office, they realize they've never left their dogs alone. So she's actually making a lot of extra income just from this.
Yeah, I hear you. So I've used all 3 apps as well. So Rover for dog sitting services. I've used TaskRabbit to help me set up my condo. And I've also worked with a really cool illustrator on Fiverr. And he customized some drawings for me. So all 3 of those individuals from the apps had regular full-time jobs as well. Their time on the app was definitely incremental side hustle money.
Thinking about multiple streams of income is really important, and sharing ideas about passive income is important too, because there are only 24 hours in a day. So we are going to research this in much more detail in a future podcast because this is a very rich topic.
Yeah, I love talking about side hustle ideas. Okay, what about money goal number 2? Save more money. So to use the SMART method, let me rephrase the goal. What about save $5,000 towards a family trip to Disney World by February 2025?
Love it. Specific, measurable, relevant, and timely. Let's tackle how to achieve this. So, in order to save more money, you need to know where you are currently spending your money. And there's actually multiple free apps out there that can help you track your spending.
Another quick way to figure out your spend pattern is to download the transaction details from your debit or credit card. So most credit card providers already do this. They group your spend into different categories like restaurant spend, grocery spend, health and wellness, etc. But I really recommend you taking the time to go through a few months worth of transactions to get a good average. And it's pretty eye-opening.
Yes, so Stats Canada released survey results from 2019 on how much Canadian households spend and on what. So the average Canadian household spends about $69,000 a year. 29% of that is on housing, 19% is on transportation, 15% on food, 11.5% on house furnishing and equipment, 7% on recreation, 6% on health and personal care, 5% on clothing, and the rest is on miscellaneous categories.
My guess is if that survey was taken now and updated to incorporate the lifestyle changes in the past 2 years, a lot less would be spent on transportation.
Right.
Because I have friends and coworkers that have given up their cars since 2019 because they were barely using it and it just didn't make financial sense to keep it.
Yeah, and so knowing where your money goes, you can easily evaluate if how you are currently spending aligns with your goals. And if it doesn't, at least it gives you an idea of where you can cut back.
And another idea to help cut back on spend is to check if you're paying too much for certain services.
Right.
So have you ever tried calling a phone or internet provider and asking for a better deal? And most of the time, they're really happy to negotiate because they don't want to lose you as a client. So saving every little bit, it adds up over time.
Actually, this is really key to just take stock at the start of the year because we may have signed up for services that are dormant or credit cards that we don't know. And another thing you can do actually is to go through your household and declutter things that you no longer need and sell the items. So depending on the item, you can post it for sale on a variety of free apps like Facebook, Marketplace, or Kijiji.
Love that idea. All right, so let's move on to financial goal number 3, to pay off debt. Let's rephrase this using the SMART method again. The goal is to pay down $50,000 of debt across a credit card, student loan, and car loan within the next 12 months.
Okay, so this one is interesting. And we could definitely use the same list of strategies in goal number 1 and number 2 to earn more money, save more, and put funds down, towards paying the debt. But which debt do you pay down first?
So here, understanding the details, like the interest rates for each debt, would be important. And prioritizing paying down the debt with the highest interest rate first could be a strategy.
Yeah. And there's also a different timeline against each one of these loans. And sometimes paying a loan off early actually doesn't give you any financial benefits. For example, I would want to understand why this person was to pay off their student loan and car loan at the same timeline as a credit card. Typically, your student loan interest rates are very low compared to a credit card rate.
Yeah, exactly. So I would recommend sitting down with a financial advisor and reviewing your debt and loans with them to come up with a strategy on how to pay it down.
I agree. And this takes us to financial goal number 4, learn how to invest. So this is a big topic, and we really want to apply that SMART methodology here.
So let's rephrase the goal to learn about the different types of investments that I can participate in so I can be set up for a financially secure future within the next 3 months.
I love it. So there's a lot of ways to learn about investing. For one, just start talking to people you trust, family, friends who are experienced to get an idea of what's available and possible. And you can also set up a meeting with a financial advisor at your bank. It can even be a phone call, so you don't even have to physically go into a branch.
Yeah, exactly. And I would also recommend just learning the financial lingo before you have these meetings with a financial advisor. And the quickest way to do this is by using the free resources on the internet. And there's so much great content out there on YouTube, for example, where they explain basic concepts in everyday language. And you know what? If you don't understand the term that they're using, just Google it or watch a different video.
Yeah, perfect idea. And another thing I would add is while you are learning about how to invest, also look up how not to invest. In one of our earlier podcasts, we talk about how emotions affect your financial decisions, and 80 to 90% of all decisions actually are made emotionally.
Yeah, and investing is a long-term strategy. And with all these DIY self-selection investment models, which has its own pros and cons, it's way too easy to make an emotional decision and end up buying, selling stock that hurts you in the end. So take the time to learn what works for you.
I agree. So that's actually a healthy list of 4 financial goals that we just talked through. Earn more, save more, pay down debt, and learn how to invest.
Here's a few more financial related goals, which are also great for consideration. So what about creating a budget or setting up an emergency fund or a will?
Or how about a no-spend challenge when this could be hard? Or even investing just in further education or learning a new skill. I mean, if this is your first time setting financial goals, I actually challenge you to pick just 2 of them and apply the SMART method. You don't need to pressure yourself, right? And just write out the goal and see how you feel.
Yeah. After all, you're 43% more likely to achieve your goal by writing it down.
One of my favorite quotes from my mom is anything is possible with a plan. When they first got married, she actually told my dad that, maybe by next year we will have a car. And my dad laughed at her and is like, don't be crazy. That's impossible. But they did. They had a car. And it all just starts with a plan.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it can be really overwhelming with everyone around talking about just doing it, just take the leap. And what's important with the SMART method is know that you don't need to take a leap. You just need to take a step.
Yes, I love that. Take a first step towards something important. And before you know it, you're near your goal.
And with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode and please share it with a friend.
Check us out on Instagram at Make It Shine Money. And don't forget to make it shine.
This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna make it shine, make it shine, make it shine, make it shine.
Any views or opinions represented in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the podcast creators and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the owner may or may not be associated with in professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated.